Hello, welcome. This is Dr. Hisham Saeed. I will show in this video how to, it is a very introductory tutorial on construction simulation using Navisworks. And we'll use here this BIM model of a simple structural project. So we have a bunch of pile caps, retaining walls on footings. There are some foundation beams which are using wall element, but they're doing different structural function here. There is some flooring system at the main building, this part, and then there is a wing building. There is the lower floor, first floor, and the roofing in the main building, and then there's this one floor. On top of the flooring system, there is plywood flooring, and only in the wing section there is rigid insulation. The roof and the extension and the wing extension, it's open web joists, but here it's framing, structural steel, some braces using round bars, and hollow sections on the side and on the top. And then there is light gauge joists, C channels along between these framing elements. So that's the model, and this is currently in Revit. So to export it into Navisworks, you go to Add-ins, External Tools, Navisworks. So we did this in the previous tutorial when we showed quantification in Navisworks. To do simulation, you need another information that will go into Navisworks is the schedule. So schedule plus model will give you this n-dimensional simulation. So I already developed a schedule for this project, and I'm not discussing the details of how to make a schedule, the bars, bar charts, vertical path, all of this. There's another tutorial for this I made. But this is kind of, we have here 22 activities and the relationships. But before getting this into Navisworks, I actually need to add more information so Navisworks can actually work for us, and adding here what we call the cost dimension and also the type of the task that will be considered when simulating the project. So I added here 4 columns, and you can do that by right-clicking on column header, insert. You can have options from Microsoft Project pre-made or built-in, but for my case here, I just typed labor cost, material cost, equipment cost, subcontractor cost, and the task type. And this information, I put it in some arbitrary values for costs, and for task type, it's construct, and we'll see what does it mean when we go into an Navisworks. So I save this, and now I have the Microsoft project, the schedule, and I have the model, and now I can be ready to go into Navisworks and then append the model. Not this one. So, and you see this one, that was the one exported from Revit. Which is the one we have seen in there. I will just change the background here to be plain black. Usually when you open Navisworks, to be mainly the selection tree and properties, to do simulation in Navisworks, you need to show the timeliner. So timeliner is the way we'll spend most of the video in this window here, or this panel. To do simulation, then we got, again, we need the model and the schedule. So we need to get the data source of the schedule. So I will go into importing Microsoft project. There are other files you can import for your schedule. Primavera is another alternative. Within Microsoft project, you can just select the file or the MPX version of it. Or for any scheduling software, you can just export a CSV file of your schedule as long as it's following the format that Navisworks requires. So for this tutorial, I have the file of Microsoft project. I will select it. And it's a matter now of matching what Navisworks is expecting on the left with whatever is given in the file out of these fields. You don't have to provide everything here. The user 1 all the way to 10 is an optional field, but we need to provide these columns or information. Some of them are automatically detected, so what I will do now is I will define those who are not automatically detected, which are the cost information and also the task type. This is if I look for material cost, there's no attribute here passed from Microsoft project with this name because it was not built in like this. It's actually something that I added it as a custom column, which in this way actually it's defined under text one. And when I created the columns, I created in this order: material cost, labor, equipment, subcontractor, and then the task type. So material cost will be text 1, labor cost will be text 2, equipment cost will be text 3, subcontractor cost will be text 4, and then task type will be text 5. And the rest, these will be detected automatically. So when I say OK, it's defined the status source, and then I need to refresh. I will rebuild the task hierarchy within Navisworks. I will not synchronize, meaning changing both ways, or so it will be two-way connection. So I'll stick to the first option. Now, when I go to tasks, I will see the schedule there. So everything is imported. If you want to check, I can change my view from probably will have it as probably basic, but extended is the one that shows you all the data that was there. And you will find that Navisworks kind of defined one line item, summary item for the whole project or the whole schedule. But if I compare it, let's say first activity piles of the main building, 25,400, that was the material cost. If I go to the Microsoft project, and you can see it closed the file when I imported it, because it does that to be able to import. So I will open again the file. 25,400, that's the material cost. 3,000, 6,000 for labor and equipment. 3,000, 6,000. So you can check the rest of the activities, but it seems that it's getting the data correctly. Another thing is the task type. We said it's construct because there are other options: demolish or temporary. Demolish is if there, from its name, there is a building element. If you still attach it to this task, then it will be available or shown before the task. After the task, it will be demolished. It will disappear. Temporary, it will not be visible before the task. It will be visible during a task, and then it will disappear again after this. For construct, it will not be visible before the task. It will be highlighted as green during the task, and it will highlight it with the model color after the task is completed. So all of them here, it's just new construction. It's all construct tasks. So now I have the schedule in, I have the model in. I need to link between them, and this is the tedious part of this exercise. But there are other ways for bigger projects, which you can do linking by parameters. We'll not do this here. This is a small project. Even if you feel tedious, it's really small. So the next here would be to attach the tasks to each attach the elements to each task. So for the first activity here, or task, piles of the main building, which are anything under the main building footprint, this one here, all of these piles here. Piles only, not the pile caps. The pile caps will be a different activity. So the way to select, we've seen that in quantification. Selection tree will be super handy. So if I select an element and the group of it, other group is also I need to select. So I will select this upper level in the hierarchy. So I'll select everything here. And also I need to select these piles here. So if I select them and then select the root or the higher level of this, and go back and select the higher level up, not shift, it should be control. Control, here you go. These are the piles under the main building. And now if I highlight the piles of the main building and then say attach current selection, done. How I know it's done? If I go to attached, I will click on this link and it will highlight the things that are attached to this task. So done with the first task. To see another example, the second one, piles of the wing section. So any other piles that are not selected, then I will attach to this activity or task. So I will select this one here. I'll select the upper level element in the tree, and I will attach to this activity. Again, attachment is done. It's link here highlighting the elements. Pile caps of the main building. This is the one here. And then I will add that one, but actually not this one only. It's upper level. So control is super helpful here. And then once this is done, I attach it to the pile caps of the main building, pile caps of the wing section. So this one here. Another thing I wanted to make sure that, which happens, is sometimes you select manually one by one for different reasons. Let's say I missed this one when I added these two pile caps to the wing section to this task. So when I go back and say, all right, what did I attach here? Oops, I missed this one here. So some people say, all right, I'll select it, attach current selection. Then checking my selection here, it's only showing the last one I added. So this is a mistake that people do, is when you, so now I'm missing these 7 pile caps. So when I select them now, instead of going to attach and this one, I'll actually append the current selection. And then when I click on the selection, it shows everything. So append is useful when you miss an element to attach, and you want to kind of fix that mistake and attach it to the task. You need to append it in this case. So another thing that's super handy is when you look for or find items in this option here, and then at unattach uncontained items, going to show you all the items that you did not attach to any task yet. So we'll give you a visual of how much work you still have into this linking step. So I will pause the video here, have fun with completing the attachment of all the other tasks and all the other elements, and then I will resume the video and come back to continue this exercise. Right, you do this on your own, I'll do this on my own, and then we'll regroup. See ya. Welcome back. So I had fun with linking everything, attaching all the elements to the relevant tasks, except for the task of the steel stairs. And just to verify that I have the remaining elements that are needed for that. So if I find elements that are not attached, it's going to be this thing, just checking around, anything other than this highlighted. So it's only the stairs, everything else not highlighted because it's attached to an activity. So I will attach this to the highlighted stairs to the stairs task. So attach it. Then if I check again, find anything that's unattached, nothing is returned. So I attach all the elements to all activities. and all activities has attachment to them. Great, except for, of course, the summary task. Now, if I go to simulate and show the simulation here that happens, pretty cool. Now, all these elements, the green ones, are in progress at any point of time that I'm at it. Nice. One thing here that I don't see. Yep, there's one thing missing, which is a slab and grate. It for some reason missed that it should be a construct. And how I figure out this, if I go to simulate and scroll through the timeline, I don't see the slab showing up. Like we see the slab here is not showing up. So if I go to the tasks and make this construct, then go back to simulate. There you go, slab is showing up. So done with the linking, make sure that it makes sense. Of course, now this is where the real value comes in, is you can see, does this schedule make sense or not? That's the idea behind n-dimensional ND schedules and simulations. And also you can see here the accumulation of different costs. Now, some of you might not have this, and this is like what we call the overlay. And this is because I did some editing to that, and I'll show you how to do this. You might have a different format, like a simple, like one line here. So let's go into editing the settings of how this timeliner will look like. So the settings that I have is I wanted to simulate it by days. Some of you as default might have %. So I will want to simulate day by day. So 1 day. I want to show all the tasks in this interval. Setting the duration now to 30 seconds. You can make it longer. And then I will like to edit the overlay text in this way. So currently this is what I have so far. Some of you will have, again, one line of it. So I will go over how to create that. So if I start from scratch, I want to see it first, the date. So I want the overlay to show me date, the text called date, and then the variable that has the value of the date, which I will get it from. These are all the variables that I can embed in, and it will be replaced by their values. So in this case here, I will embed the abbreviated month name. So far it's date showing the month value, but then I need to also to show the day of the month as decimal number from 0 to 1 to 31. So that's the first line. If I click enter to move to the next line, it's actually closing the window. So the way to move to the next line is Control Enter. And then I will say now next is I want to show the material cost. So material, and then I'll go to the cost category of variables, material cost. Control Enter, labor, and then go to cost, labor cost. Control Enter, equipment. I'll go to cost, equipment cost, Control Enter. I don't have subcontractor cost for an activity, so I'll skip that. And then the next thing I want to show is total cost. So total, I'll show here total cost. And then next would be, I want to list all the ongoing tasks that are happening during any day that I'm simulating or showing. And that will be in extras, currently active tasks. That's what I had in the previous overlay. You can have different type of overlays and from all the variables that are given in here. If I say okay, and here's what I used to have previously, but it's all kind of same color, it's confusing to track. So what you can do is go to settings, overlay, and then give colors and give fonts if you want. So I will focus on colors, and maybe you can spend some time playing with the fonts, but it's the same process. So at the beginning of any line that you want to have a different color for. So you go to, like, let's say the date, I want to have it as white. And if I say okay, so it's kind of changing everything actually to white, because if I go back to the overlay, this code here, color white, applies to anything from this point all the way to the end, or all the way up to I change the color again to something else. So if I want to change the color of all cost information to be, let's say, red, and I click OK. So now this is white, and everything after the material cost and going on is now the red thing, red color. Now I want to make the ongoing tasks to be green, following also the format of the coloring that's shown in the simulation itself. And then when I say OK, here you go. Now it shows everything. Kind of, it's easier to follow in this case, right? So that's how you edit the settings of the simulator. Now another thing I can do is controlling how, so instead of being static like this, my viewpoint can be changing. Like I can move around while the simulation is running. And I can do that through the animation here. So animation, and I'll do this, I will run the simulation and then see how my viewpoint will be better at different points of the simulation. So I will run and record how I want to change my viewpoint. And while I'm doing that, I'm being recorded by Navisworks to see how the viewpoint should change. I can zoom in, and here you go. Stop the recording. So when I go back to the simulate settings, and I change this animation from no link to saved viewpoints animation, and then say OK, and then play here again, it shows that viewpoint animation that I created or recorded. Pretty cool. It's more dynamic, it's more, like, especially when projects are big and you're showing a progress in a project that will not be visible from one viewpoint, then this will be super helpful. So this is how you change the animation settings. The last step here is to export the animation. So I will go to export animation here, or at the timeline I will click on this, export animation. And these are the settings here. Timeliner, the source here is the timeliner simulation, whatever is shown by the timeliner. The renderer can be viewport or Autodesk. Autodesk would show you maybe better rendering with some shading, but viewport will be lighter to run, probably will result in smaller file formats or sizes. The output will be Windows AVI. For video, and then you can control here some of the options to make it lighter or better quality. The size here, I will use the view, this view here that's shown in Navisworks, or you can control the aspect ratio in any way. So I'll use the view. This is the frame per seconds. I mean, if you increase it, that will be a bigger file. And you know, that's currently basically the basic, the main settings that you need. If I say OK, and then I already saved it, but let's say I will save it again under a different name, and it's done saving. If I go to play it, and here you go. So that's it for this tutorial. It's your turn to do that on your own, and I will see you in the lab. Take care.